Alright, so I had this washer for about a few months. Had it since July. Or was it the end of June? I forgot. This here is the Whirlpool 2-in-1 removable agitator. It's an HE washer, obviously. You can just tell by the washer plate on it. Had this for a few months now, so I think it's time to make a review on it. So first off, let's talk about the agitator. In my family, you can say that the removable agitator feature on this washer can be a curse and a blessing. Because guess what? You do get to remove the agitator, like so. I don't know why I said like so when I just put it in. And it'll probably make things easier for some loads. But guess what? My mom uses that for everything. She doesn't like using the top piece of the agitator, even on big loads. I think me and my dad are the only people in my family that actually use the full agitator for loads because, in my opinion, it gives a better wash. My mom uses this washer the most out of all of us, so the agitator is usually removed. Now it's time for wash action. To be honest, it's pretty decent. It's not bad, really. On small loads, it does a good job with and without the agitator in it. And on large loads with the agitator, it also does fine. But without the agitator, that's when we do have problems. On super large loads, like when I wash my clothes with my sister's clothes, like that makes a gigantic load. You need the agitator because the clothes will just float around, just back and forth. With or without the agitator in it, my clothes still feel clean. It does good at cleaning. Not as good as the old Maytag Atlantis that used to be here, but it's pretty decent. It's not like some other washers I've seen, like the early Whirlpool. Well, I mean, not early, but there's a type of Whirlpool out there that this type of Whirlpool HE washer that does not do good at cleaning whatsoever. I think it's called the Whirlpool Cabrio. No, wrong one. It's something. It's a washer without an agitator like this, kind of like this, but the fins are so much smaller. So it only does good at very small loads, but large loads I've seen doesn't do that good. So compared to this washer, that's a joke. It still has the rollover and the bloom because HE washers are known for the bloom, which are just reverse rollovers. Usually it just rolls over, especially when you're washing rags, where there's less rags and more water. That's when you see the rollover. And then the bloom is when you have more clothes and less water. I still think it does a good job, even if it doesn't have that much water in it. Here's another con of this. I like how the lid has this window here, which, as you can see, looks very dirty at the moment. It needs wiped off. It's nice to have this because this lid does lock like any other HE washer out there. Alright, here's another pro. Usually one of my biggest complaints with an HE washer is just how long it takes to wash the clothes. I've seen HE washers that take at least an hour to wash a full load. My grandma's Maytag HE washer takes like more than an hour. I think like an hour and a half to wash one load. This here, it takes the time as the Maytag Atlantis. It's relatively the same, like 30, 40 minutes, which is surprising. I guess it doesn't have all the bull crap that comes with HE washers, like takes forever to sense and other things. It's a little surprising. I thought this washer was going to take at least an hour to wash a single load of clothes. But when my mom first used this, I stuck through the entire cycle to watch it and stuff, and it was a breeze, really. It didn't take that much time. It took like 30, 40 minutes, and that was on the color cycle. That's the main cycle we use on this washer. So there's all of that. Talked about the inside of the washer, the agitator, and how long it takes to wash a load. Now let's take a look at the outside. So here's the cycles. We got normal, delicate, bulky items, towels, drain and spin, clean water wash. Clean washer with a fresh, and all these other cycles here you can see. We usually just stick to colors, delicates, maybe. Actually, I don't think I've ever seen this washer on delicate cycle before. We also use bulky items and towels. And then we got some other options here. Like we got the water temperature, we got cold. We got tap cold for the first one, which doesn't have a light. So that's tap cold. Then we got cold. Then we got cool, then warm, and then hot. So there's that. The warm and hot actually do add a lot of hot water to it, which HE washers don't usually do that because they're trying to save water, energy, and all that stuff. And using less hot water is more of saving energy because of the water heater. But this one adds a really good amount of hot water when you add it on warm cold or hot cold. We got some other things here. We got the rinse options. We got extra rinse, and then we got extra rinse and fabric softener, which we don't use extra rinse and we don't use fabric softener because we have a downy ball. And then we got these other options here. We got 30-minute pre-soak in deep water. The deep water wash, we'll get to that later. And we also got a little faucet, as you can see. Alright, let's get to the deep water wash. This here's another pro. So with some other HE washers, like my grandma's Maytag HE washer, if you set it to deep water wash, it fills all the way up to the top of the lid, to the top of the tub, no matter the load size or anything. So you could be washing a medium load and it'll fill up all the way to the top of the tub, which is wasteful. But this washer here fixes that problem. If you got a medium load, then the water will fill up to the top of the clothes. If you got a large load, it will do the same. If you throw in 2 pillows or anything like that, it will fill up to the top of the pillows with just the right amount of water. It's not as good as being able to select your own water size, own water level, my bad, like we used to do with the Maytag Atlantis. But this here makes up. Here's another small detail that I like. The lid doesn't just slam down. Well, not as hard. It does have a little slowdown, and that's pretty nice because what if you accidentally slam the door shut, slam the lid shut? Yeah, that's going to be very loud. I want to go back to the finger faucet setting real fast. The problem with the problem with most HE washers are that you can't start the washer without the lid being locked and stuff. So usually you'll have to load the clothes and detergent in, and then you turn the washer on for its cycle. Back then when we had the Maytag Atlantis, we'll start the washer and load our clothes in and pour the detergent in. And usually after we do that, we'll clean out the lid because it'll have extra detergent in it. With an HE washer, you can't really do that. But this one you can, because the finger faucet setting, you can use it with the lid open, so you can clean the lid out with that. You can clean the cup out with that, my bad. I think that's all the pros with this washer. Oh, we only have one more thing left. I forgot about this, but the spin speed. So the spin speed on this washer is very good. I say it's faster than the Maytag Atlantis. I wouldn't blame the Maytag Atlantis though. That washer was from 2003 and it's been used almost every day ever since. Almost every week. So it really does throw all that water out of your clothes when it spins. So that's really good. Alright, so I think we got through all the pros. Now it's time to look at the cons. Alright, first con is the lack of any tray. So can't add any detergent or fabric softener before you start to load. I mean, you can still add the detergent, but the fabric softener, you'll have to get a downy ball for that. Or you'll have to stop the washer when it's at rinse cycle to manually pour it in, which will be a pain. And that fabric softener option doesn't do anything. I think all it does is just remind you to do it, and it unlocks the lid and stuff and makes a little chime. I think that's what it does. I'm not sure. We haven't used it ever since we first got the washer. So you'll need a downy ball for the fabric softener dispenser. That's my main complaint. You have to buy something separate. The downy ball. This here is what every washer enthusiast has. Another con is this lid lock. As you can see, some newer HE washers only lock the lid when it's on spin cycle because that's what the lid locks are for. The reason why they're on every single HE washer is because of their spin speed. The spin speed is so high that the lid will probably it'll probably jump. So we need the lid locked. So that's the main reason why they're even on HE washers in the first place. Yet some HE washers will just automatically lock the lid like at the very beginning of the cycle through the wash cycle and rinse and all that stuff, which is a pain because what if you forget to add an item? You'll have to stop the washer, which takes about like 3 seconds, wait for it to unlock, and then bam, you throw it in, start the washer again, which also takes another 3 seconds. Yeah, it's not as simple as having an old school washer. It's a big shame that the lid has to be locked throughout the entire cycle. I was hoping this HE washer was not going to be one of those that would lock the lid throughout the entirety of the cycle. Oh well, we were jabbed. Another con with this washer, if you consider it to be a con, is the lack of tub brakes. So when both spin cycles end, the washer does not have a tub brake to slow down the tub like an old school washer. So it'll have to just slowly decrease in speed. I used to always say that was like a very big problem, but nowadays that's not really much of a problem. Unless if you're in a hurry. I think that might be the only con with this machine that I know of. Oh wait, no, we still got one more. Just one more if you also consider this a con. Is the fact that how long this washer lasts. So far, this washer is it's about 6 months old, and it didn't break down at all. Didn't have to fix anything with it. But with HE washers, knowing that the parts from them are made in China, which if you didn't know, Chinese products tend to be made out of weak plastic and other cheap materials. And today's products, especially appliances, are they use those cheap Chinese parts, and this washer is no exception. So it will probably break down quite a few times. Yeah, it probably won't last that long. But this washer here, I'm hoping that it will last about a few years. My grandma's Maytag washer lasted about 5 years. It's still working too. So hopefully this here lasts as long or longer. Though I have seen lots and lots and lots of HE washers that break down in like a year or less. So the reliability is it's a little questionable. And knowing how cheap Whirlpool is, they probably made it that way so you can buy their products over and over again. Well, I mean that's really any company nowadays. And I think that's the only cons I have with this machine. This machine has been a good washer for us. It's the first time in a long time we had a Whirlpool washer in this house. Last time we had a Whirlpool washer was back in 2003 when my parents first moved in. There used to be a Whirlpool direct drive here. And then it was given to my grandparents on my mom's side. And then my parents bought the Maytag Atlantis washer and dryer. Yes, the dryer was also here too. That washer is now dead, if you're wondering, and along with its dryer, I am pretty sure. So yeah, it's a nice return to Whirlpool, after having a Maytag for about 19 years. The Maytag's about as old as me. So, if you plan on replacing your washer, I recommend this machine here because it's a pretty good machine. Like I said, you can remove the agitator. You have that freedom that other washers won't give you. So yeah, the removable agitator is actually a very smart feature on Whirlpool's behalf. So there's that. I think this here is a decent machine. If you need a washer for a few years, you can probably count on this. So yeah, that's my review. I give it like a 7 out of 10. See ya.